I'm Rachet from Shanghai Metals Market, based in Shanghai. And I believe that in the last 2 days, you have heard a lot of projects mainly focused on these kind of primary resources. So as the last presenter, I choose a topic from another angle, which is recycling, mainly based on the secondary resources. So as you all know that with this decarbonization trend, more and more resources are facing this kind of carbon emission, high carbon emission issues. While if we take a look at from another angle, this is all recycling material. Compared with primary resources, they have low carbon emission, low cost collaboration, and also they have their bright future in the next few years. So today, I'm very glad to be here to show our understanding about global lithium battery recycling markets. Yeah, first, let's take a look at the market overview. Here is we call it a recycling value chain. We divided the scraps into two types. First is production waste. Secondly is from end-of-life vehicles. So from production waste, we can see that different types of waste, like a battery pack, module, cell, tablets, and black mass. They can generated with the production process, like SMM producers, like battery producers. They will all produce some battery scraps, as seen in the figure. Besides that, after usage, you can see that end-of-life vehicles, we have to do, even some of the vehicles can have a second life to de-utilization, but finally, they will go to the end of life and to be processed by recycling companies. So from this point of view, that's the production waste, sometimes we call new waste, and the end-of-life vehicles, we call the old waste. This all will become material for recycling companies and go back to a closed-loop strategy, closed-loop value chains. And if we take a look at last year, we believe that this kind of end-of-life vehicles still not very enough to support this kind of recycling companies. The main raw material is still from production waste. It's counted for more than 55% of the total waste generated. Another 45% is from this kind of recycled end-of-life vehicles or some storage batteries. But if you take a look at this figure, you can see that the recycling value chain is very complicated. Even from this kind of production waste, it can be directly sold by lithium batteries to recycling companies, or from OEMs, or from CM companies. But there is a lot of traders at that. So which these kind of traders involved in the market to make the market more complicated. Besides the old end-of-life lithium batteries, the channels is much more complicated compared with production waste. While according to our research that in the next few years, with this technology improvements, this kind of production waste definitely will still increasing, but this kind of technology improvements will make this production waste growth is very limited because they have to produce more qualified products instead of this kind of, to reach some less waste. While for this end-of-life, this kind of vehicles, as you all know that, especially for electric vehicle, was booming since 2018. And according to our research, this LFP or NCM batteries usually has a life cycle about 6 to 8 years. So from this time, from 2024, we can see more and more this kind of NCM batteries or LFP batteries will be getting into recycled. So we believe that in the next few years, like by 2025, this kind of end-of-life recycling materials will account to more than 60% of the total scrap generated. Here is our forecast for global recycling materials in the next several years. We can divide it into 7 stages from 2020 to 2025 because this kind of NCM batteries mainly used in China, especially in vehicles. So we can see that China NCM, especially for a red circle, you can see that it have a high growth rate of about 38% because the original these vehicles is mainly produced by NCM, and it will be getting into retired in these 2 years. And after that, after 2025, you can see that with the very fast LFP batteries increasing to replace some NCM, this kind of market share, since 2020, currently, especially in China, there are more than 70% of this kind of e-vehicle batteries are using LFP technology. So after this kind of batteries getting into retirement, maybe after 2025, we can see more LFP batteries will be retired from market to supply more this kind of battery scraps in the markets. While if you take a look at outside China, for Europe, for USA, this kind of NCM battery is still the mainstream because of these kind of different reasons, different factors, while NCM is still the mainstream. So we believe that after 2030, outside China, especially for Europe, for American, this kind of batteries will be entered into the recycled, and NCM will still be the mainstream for this kind of recycling markets. So from different stages, by 2025, NCM in China will enjoy the high growth rate. After 2025 by 2030, LFP recycling in China will dominate markets, and after 2030, NCM in Europe and in Americans will be enjoying high growth rate to support this kind of scrap generated. Besides this kind of scraps, there is another product we call black mass. Black mass is a very hot topic because you know that in Europe currently, if you take a look at the figure, in Europe and in US, there is a lot of black mass exported to like Southeast Asia, Indonesia, or to Japan, Korea. Because as we know that for Europe, there is not enough, this is called hydrometallurgy process to further processing this black mass, while almost all these kind of facilities and technologies are concentrated in China, while China don't allow to import this black mass currently as a kind of waste. Well, so this kind of black mass was generated in US and in Europe, where it goes to Indonesia or Korea for further processing into different raw materials, which is a very lower price compared with China domestically. Last year, we have a conference in Hungary when we talk about with a lot of companies. We can see that a lot of recycling companies will be construction in Europe, while for them, their lack of technology. So they want to cooperate with Chinese companies to investment. China companies provide the technology, they provide the source of batteries. So it will see more and more black mass will be generated and further processing within Europe or within US. But this kind of trend will also supported by government. Like we talk with VDA, the Germany Auto Association, they will push government to issue some policies to forbidden this kind of black mass export. They want to visit this kind of Europe. That also meets like Europe's Battery Act. It requires this kind of recycling materials targets percentage. While China still dominates the black mass production, and we can see that more and more this black mass will be processing within the region, within Europe, within the US, and within China. Here is a value chain from total batteries. If we take a look at the last, there are several typical, this kind of we call recycling companies. Recycling companies, actually, they have some different background. Some are subsidiary of batteries, like BUMP, is a subsidiary of CATL. Some, like is usually to be a recycling company, like Green, GM, recycle everything, recycle electronics, recycle autos, everything. Usually, like this kind of copper, aluminum, steel are their main products, but now they enter into this kind of battery recycling industries. So we can, from this figure, we can see a lot of key players. They are not only producing their raw materials, mining, refining, battery, they also enter into a recycling market to enjoy the potential high growth in the next few years. While China government also notice this kind of trends. As example, that if we take a look at currently this kind of batteries, it reminds me that in 10 years before, that if we take a look at lead acid battery, at that time, China has thousands, even millions of these kind of participants in lead acid recycling. And according to our research, at maybe 2012, more than 80% of this lead was produced by the unqualified companies. But long after 10 years, if you take a look at lead acid battery recycling, more than 90 was produced by qualified ones. So at the beginning of this kind of vehicle lithium battery recycling, the China government has issued some, like we call it, white list. Currently, is 5 benches has been issued with over 150 companies have got these kind of qualifications. And according to our latest research, there is no more this kind of white list will be issued in this year. So these 150 companies will be enjoy the high growth of this kind of scrap generation in the next few years. While if we take a look at these 150 recycling companies, not all of them can do this kind of dismantling. Some of them, especially maybe over 50% of them, just do the second deutilization business, while another 50 of them will be the dismantling and recycling. According to our research, because of this so many participants, which looks like the lead acid in 10 years ago, more than 500,000 or 50,000 these kind of participants currently in China participating in these industries. But it will be soon, we can see that more policies will be driven. This market is going to be more mature and more qualified. And we can see more this kind of scraps will be generated and flow to these qualified companies for processing. There are different models. If we take a look at these different companies, we can say that for module A is like bump. It is subsidiary of CATL batteries, and they sign contracts with BMW. So they construct this closed loop strategy. While for Huayou, it is used to be a material company, so also they can enjoy this kind of closed loop with Tesla, BMW. While GM mainly focus on this collection business, they still have some further to do the chem or even batteries to achieve this recycling closed loop. Here we want to emphasize that Helan, Zhongxi, this kind of little small plants, they don't have resources, and they also haven't partnership with the batteries. They are the most, we believe that maybe this kind of companies will be excluded market in the next few years. Another example is the Model E, is SDM, it has a new technology which produced with repair. It's not a dismantling and hydrometallurgy, it's used repair technology to further to use these kind of scraps. Pricing, I have to say that pricing is more transparent in the market. For the scrap market, used to be as a nickel, cobalt based on the metal prices. And after 2022, especially the LME nickel, these kind of issues, we can see that the benchmark turns to SM's battery grade nickel sulfate and cobalt sulfate. And in 2023, not only for nickel, cobalt, because of the lithium price surged, also lithium was also involved, and so they use different these comparable rates. And currently, when we talk with these recyclers, we can see that they are not taking about this nickel, cobalt, lithium. They also taking consideration of graphite, taking consideration of electronic aluminum foil. So all of these elements will be taken into consideration when you buy the scraps, and it gets more and more transparent. Here is some list that a lot of China whitelist companies they will use SMM price to serve. Here is their file to support. They will use SMM price when the subcontractor buy this kind of purchase. Besides that, we also have some technology difference. Actually, here is listed 3 different technologies. Mainstream is from the hydrometallurgical process, mainly used by Bump and Huayou and GM. You can see even for these companies, they are different. Some will use pre-lithium extraction, some use the post-lithium extraction. Currently, as we know, that the lithium pre-lithium extraction has a higher this kind of elements recycling rates compared with other regions. So Bump has a relatively advanced technology. They can get more lithium, as much as a high 92% of lithium recycling. Yeah, maybe just 1 minute, sorry. The last topic is for footprint. To summarize, we believe that this kind of battery companies has the advanced technology to supply this footprint, and here is our conclusions. If you take a look at this kind of different technologies, that the carbon emission is 2.8 for hydrometrical post-lithium. Hydrometeorological for pre-lithium is 2.3 and 1.7 for FFP extraction. And the last point I should point is for a lot of junior miners. SMM not only provide pricing data, and also we provide this consulting services. That's the last sentence. We provide this dynamics with help you to do scope study, to help you do feasibility study, and we are to do this market dynamics and for price forecasting for all of you. Thank you. Due to the time limit, very thank you.
You never knew you could speak that fast, did you?